What a perfect way to begin and end our 2019 Adventure in Spirit program. I believe probably the main tenet of our teaching is that God is all there is. The big question is, are you and I living that way? Are we living the way that infinite spirit, that power for good, that larger possibility is part of our life all the time? I mean, I really want you to think for a minute, what is your relationship? What is your concept? What is your idea about this thing we call God? We don't have to call God God. Whatever name we use for this something, this power greater than we are, that is good, that is for us. What do we call that power? Because it is dynamic. This topic today is the winds of spirit blow, because spirit is dynamic. It's a vital essence and energy. It's much bigger than just physical embodiment or manifestation. It's this force for good, this creative potential that lives in all of us. It's not some of us. And just as Reverend John was saying in that beautiful message from Ernest Holmes today, we've got to find that place within us that knows. Because you and I, as everyone, is always seeking. Is this funny? Fine. I love this new microphone. It's very comfortable. All right, excuse me because it's got a long cord. Woo! Okay, that was fun. Now let's get on with business. All right. All I had to do was look at Kirk back there with his face all tweaked, and I wondered what was going on. But so we're all seeking this relationship with this power for good. We cannot ever doubt that there is a larger possibility all the time, because this spirit is ever creating. Yes, it's an invisible force, but it's ever creating all the time. And you and I have that desire within us to be that creative expression. So we desire to be more, to do more, to know more, whether it's just consciousness, because that's truly all there is. But God, life is also always seeking us. Always. There's no way that this power can know itself without you and me being the best version of it that we can be. That's the way this thing I call God, creative intelligence, infinite possibility, the way it knows itself. So we have a responsibility to keep that connection going. And as Jesse was talking, so fun and beautiful this morning, is we need to keep the connection going in whatever way we can, because that energy is constantly wanting to seek through us. If we think of the power of spirit, we just have to look at the first verse in the Bible, Genesis 1, which says, "In the beginning, when God created, ever creating, the heavens and earth, the earth was a formless void. Darkness covered the face of the deep. And then the wind of God, the power of God, blew across the darkness. And God said, and let there be light. And there was light." And you see, if you and I, that's why white is a great color for today, kind of a porous energy, an open energy. We have to open to the energy that's always present. It's never not there. Now, our consciousness, as I said, we can have some control around this energy. We can't always control what's outside of us. We can manifest, but we can't always control it. But we can always use our consciousness to control how we experience something, how we can experience love or fear, faith or doubt. We have that ability when we, number one, know that God is all there is. It's an invisible force for good. We might even call this essence and energy our friend, because it's always there for us. It's for you and I to be the open vessel to understand that. And we need teachers, all of us. Teach and practice, practice, teach. That's what Ernest Holmes says. We're here to be students and teachers to one another. And I was very blessed last weekend to be at a Mark Nepo retreat, just up the 47, up and winding around, and Tony, I'm sure Tony knows about that, the 74 highway at Pine Manor, and he comes there twice a year. And it was a pretty intense 3-day retreat that was so beautiful, and I felt so fed being there. I got to go there with our daughter, and it was wonderful, and there were 30 of us. Mark Nepo, for those of you that don't know him, is a poet and a spiritual teacher, counselor, teacher. He's there. He's been doing this for 30 years. He has 12 books and 6 audio tapes. I only have 9 of his books. You can tell that I really care about how he works because he's a poet. He teaches through creativity. He tells stories and poems and asks deep and potent questions to open us that we can be porous to something greater. And the first evening, he always likes to be in circles because of the power of circles. He truly believes we all heal and teach each other and learn together in the power of circles. And someone asked the question that first evening and said, Mark, what do we do about this awful, terrible, horrible situation our world is in right now? And I could feel everybody just kind of break open and feel the pain. And he said, I hear you, but I also know these aren't the best of times or the worst of times. Because ever since the inception of life is continually breaking apart and coming together again. That's the creative process. It's continually doing this work so it falls apart and comes together, breaks apart, comes together. That's the ever-evolving upward spiral of life. He said what happens is the breaking apart is so much louder than the softness of coming together. So we hear that breaking apart. And as humans, we like to be part of something. So we either choose to be part of these are the worst times, everything's falling apart, or these are the best times and things are so good, when really we're right here in the middle of this creative process. You could just feel how much better it felt to know, just to have somebody know truth for us, something we already know. But what a beautiful thing it was. And so in that circle, and he was talking about the power of circles in our life, the power of stories and the power of circles, how everything is connected, all life is connected. And, I started thinking, wow, in my life, how the different stories of my life have all connected together to bring me right here. And I was thinking of the stories that I used to tell my elementary school teacher, my elementary school students, the 5-year-olds, and my children, how the stories would just break them open and how you could teach so much from a story. And then my life broke apart. Losing a child, I couldn't teach kids anymore. It just didn't fit me. So I started an angel store, and every day I'd hear stories of deep grief and great miracles, and how those stories, wow, you could just hear the stories of life and how life can be so painful and so wonderful, and you'd hear them all at once. But there was a calling inside me that I wanted to teach people the tools. As Jesse talked about, we have tools that we can use to make our life better, to make sense of where we are. That's the tools we use from the science of mind, the tools that we understand. There's always something more, that life is always for us. There's always a cosmic ear listening and wanting the best for us. And I was thinking about how the stories had brought me right here to this place, and how we get to be together and learn the tools to do have a better experience in life, because I think that's what we each want for ourselves, but we want that for each other, to use the power for good to create something better. But then I was thinking about it, and I got a little lonely because I know I had urged Griselda to put together Dia de los Muertos, the Mexican holiday of Day of the Dead. And we were so excited, and we were putting that together, and then this retreat fell on that same night. So that night I'm sitting there going, oh, I wish I were there. I wish I were there. But life works in such interesting ways. Just as I'm sitting there thinking, oh man, I wish I were there too. How could there be two of me? Mark read a story. And I'm going to share the story with you. And this came from his book, his latest book. Well, I don't know if it's his latest book, but it's the last one I bought. And it's called Drinking from the River of Light, The Life of Expression. And the story is called The Wind Phone. On March 11th, 2011, it's a true story, a mammoth earthquake triggered a devastating tsunami that wreaked havoc in more than 15 cities in northeastern Japan. Waves reached as high as 20 feet. More than 19,000 people were killed, and 2,500 more have never been found. In 30 minutes, the town of Otsuchi was destroyed. In 30 minutes. Trying to make sense of his grief, a gardener from Otsuchi, Itaro Sasaki, said he needed a place. He needed a place, a safe place to air his grief. So he moved an empty phone booth into the remnants of his garden and put an old rotary phone on the wooden shelf, even though the phone wasn't connected to anything. He went in the phone booth and he dialed his lost loved ones and began to tell them how much he loved them and missed them. Well, word spread about the wind phone in Otsuchi, and in time, thousands who had lost loved ones in the tsunami made pilgrimage to visit the phone booth in the garden so they could commune with those they lost. They could communicate to that cosmic ear, to that even through a disconnected phone. And the words they shared were, I didn't go through all of that in the story, but I'm sorry I couldn't help you. I'm sorry I couldn't save you. Why did you have to go? And a little girl got on the phone and said, but Dad, you were going to buy me that violin. What am I supposed to do now? And they got to vent and talk and release their grief. Mark goes on to say, this story holds great sadness. But when we can listen to the sadness without skipping over it, until it brings us to the bottom of all our feeling, until we can open up and let it out, it becomes beautifully clear that it's the power of raw feelings that move us to express one fundamental thing, that within us we have the power to heal. We have the power to heal inside of us. Now, the story doesn't end there, but I want to remind us how important it is for us to have the porousness in our own being. God doesn't build walls. This power for good, this greater possibility, this infinite intelligence, this impulsion for love that God is, doesn't build walls. It's always available and for us. We build the walls in our own hearts and minds through our limiting beliefs of doubt and unworthiness. We build walls of fear where we don't have the faith to grow and expand and trust the invisible power. We build the walls, and oftentimes we put locks on them because we're afraid we'll get hurt again. But unless we're porous and open to something more, we miss all the good that's waiting there for us. We need to find ways to expand our faith. And I want to tell you what faith is And this is just a very simple definition that's in the Science of Mind textbook. It's in the back. And it says, faith means a belief in a principle, a power, an energy, a vital force, a principle, a belief in the presence of an invisible principle, power, force, energy, creativity, and a law. So there's this force for good, and then a law that brings it to manifestation. We have to expand our faith. What is it for you that would expand your faith right now? I know that Jesse talked about meditation. I practice the presence. That's what I do to expand my faith. In times I get off balance where I can't tap into that power for good. Expand my faith through practicing the presence of God. Now, if God isn't a word you use, whatever you use is fine, but words don't really matter. It's an essence and a feeling that happens. It's a feeling, it's warm, it's beautiful. I call it the sparklies of love. That's what I feel when I can feel the presence of God. I always let this busy little mind rest on my heart. Let the turmoil, busyness, confusion, stuff to do of the day stay out there and sit until I feel that presence of spirit, of love, of goodness. And it takes as long as it takes. But there is where I sit to find that presence of good. Because Reverend John said, until we find that spirit within us, we're not going to be able to live in that power for good. We are spiritual beings having this human experience, but we got to find the spirit within. And when we find it, we can live a bigger life. So the rest of that story, I was very touched and moved by the wind phone story. And Gail, who runs Pine Manor, after Mark had finished, she said, I want you to know that Mark has told this story up at Pine Manor many times because he comes twice a year from the East Coast. And the last time he told the story, we built him a phone booth with a phone. And you see, that day, that November 1st, was Kirk's and my mentor, and many of you in here, Dr. Jackie. It was her birthday. And she's been passed for a while. And one of the beautiful women led me to the phone booth. And I got to walk into that sacred place. You could feel the cosmic ear as it listened. And I told Dr. Jackie, happy birthday, and how much she changed my life. And I talked to my mom and dad and told them pretty much the same thing, and our daughter Tara. And I led so many people from that retreat to that phone booth because it changes things when we find the inner courage to touch the pain that brings us to something so much greater. So all of you that have a creative ability, I want a phone booth at InSpirit. It boils down to that. I want a place for every person here to go there and feel with that disconnected phone that's connected to the invisible powers of good. I want to be able to talk on that phone for every one of us. I want to have that phone in some place that's we'll find a good place for it. But whoever feels like they might be able to participate in that, that's what I think would be an amazing next step for our InSpirit community. Because what we know, without question, God is only one call away. But you and I have to make the call. It's always there. It wants us. But until we take that step of courage to say, okay, I'm going to make the call. I'm good enough. I'm worthy. I'm spiritual enough because I know that God is all there is. And I know that power for good is ever present right here. And as I know it for me, I absolutely know it for every other person. There's no question that that power is there. Any wall, any lock we have, we simply need to step through that pain, the hurt, whatever it is, and let God be God as each and every one of us. Let good be good. Let love be love. Let possibility be possibility. Let creativity be creativity. Because we've got to make the call. How many of you are going to make the call? Okay, everybody's hands up, even if it's not, even if you don't feel it's true, pretend it's true, because you got to make me happy right now, and I love it. We got to make the call. We're going to be calling out Spirit, every name. Let's stand up right now. I love that. We had some people stand up just right now. Because if you don't feel you're good enough to call out to something bigger and greater than you are, then you've got something coming to you, because you are good enough. So just say, I'm good enough. I'm powerful enough. I'm spiritual enough. Life loves me. Goodness is my friend. I own it. I claim it. I am it. And I'll make the call. Okay, and if you'll build the phone booth, you come and tell me too, because I need that also. Okay, you know what? I love you all because we are here together in this process of good. We are here because just by saying yes to life, being patient, because sometimes the things that really matter take time. But we can do it together. We can do it together. The things that are breaking apart, we've got the power to pull them together. You, me, all of us. Just take the hand next to you. You don't have to make the call right now, but the call comes through a feeling, a touch. Just share that love, share that life. Know that we're in this together. We're in this together right here and now. And let the warmth that is that pulsating spirit, that life, that wind of goodness, just move through you and let it circle around this room, right here and right now. How blessed we are. Give that hand a squeeze, and I just say thank you, thank you, thank you.